All right. Hey, folks. So today's topic is weight fluctuations when you're dieting. So this is still a really, really common question I get. And I just finished discussing this with a client this morning. So I want to talk a bit about why we get weight fluctuations as we diet. And that's what this is about. Firstly, thanks for making it onto my channel. If you have any questions or comments, pop them down below. And if you'd like to work with me on your own strength, physique, muscle building, fat loss goals, then there is a link in the description. Get in touch. So firstly, I want to show you some examples of some clients. This is a client I worked with last year called Tara, and she lost 12 kilos of body fat, 26 pounds. And this shows the graph of her progression. And you can see there's a line I drew right through the middle of all these marks, but there's a load of sort of spikes up and down and up and down, up and down, which provide an overall view that she was going down in body weight. But on every individual day, it could be up, it could be down. And we can see that a little bit more closely here in this close-up of a different client. This client had a lot of fluctuations up and down. So the overall line is going down, but you can see here some massive fluctuations. One day, she's really down, then she's up a little bit more, and she's down and up. So if she was to freak out over every single weigh-in that was down and then celebrate over every weigh-in which is up, she'd drive herself crazy. But a lot of people still continue to do that. And today's video is just explaining why there are weight fluctuations, what happens even when you're dieting really hard and consistently, why you get these types of weight fluctuations, and hopefully kind of putting some people's minds at ease as to what they should be focusing on instead of daily fluctuations. So let's get into it. Now, in terms of what causes these weight fluctuations, let's break it down into the different ways you can gain and lose just weight from your body from day to day or week to week or whatever. So I've got a little list here. At the top, it's the easiest to gain and lose, and at the bottom, it's the hardest to gain and lose. So it's easiest to gain and lose: water. And that water retention can come from bloat, it can come from inflammation. Then you've got glycogen, which is a little bit harder, gets burnt off through exercise, poop, and then fat, and then muscle is finally the hardest to gain and lose. So it generally tends to come on at the slowest rate and come off at the slowest rate. So that should already start to give you an idea about what you guys are seeing with daily fluctuations. The amount of times I've had this conversation over the years, I still get these comments, like these questions saying, look, I dieted really hard all week, but come to the end of the week, come to Thursday, random day, and I'm up 1.5 pounds. What happened? I was doing so well. Like, unless they've blatantly cheated on their diet, which is unlikely, then it could just be simple fluctuations of water, more than likely. So this video goes on to explain what those fluctuations are and what you should be focusing on instead. So let's get into it. Now, firstly, water retention. Now, hydration is essential to our well-being, and generally when we diet, people tend to struggle with hydration, getting thirsty, getting headaches if they go too hard. And I want to just explain a little bit about why that happens. So hydration is important for us to feel good. Like if you ever feel fatigued and headachy and all that kind of stuff when you start a diet and faint, it could be your hydration. Now, when people go on a diet, particularly if they go on a very strict diet, so let's say they cut a lot of carbs, or let's just say they go on a very low calorie diet, they tend to lose a lot of water alongside the fat that they're losing. So a lot of the weight in the first week tends to be water. So part of that is they lose glycogen in the muscle, and another part of that is their electrolytes get weed out as they urinate through the day. So for example, if one day you were to eat a saltier menu, you can regain that 1 to 5 pounds pretty easily. So a quick tip for you guys who are in a diet phase: if you do start to get headaches and things, obviously get yourself checked out with a doctor. But the other thing is electrolytes. Make sure you're salting your food. Make sure you are drinking water and salting your food at the same time. So part of that can be just a problem of just flushing out electrolytes due to the diet. And another thing, if you are dieting hard and you are drinking plenty of water, you might actually exacerbate the problem. So if you don't replace the electrolytes that you're losing through your urine, then you might actually exacerbate the problem and just flush out even more of them, making you feel even worse. So hydration is not just about water, it can be about electrolytes as well. So a quick point on that is, water. Lose it pretty fast and it tends to come back just as easily. next up is food in the gut. So in our stomachs, we hold, I think, around about 5 pounds of semi-digested food and water. And that's obviously when you poop and throughout the day, that can be expelled, and that can cause great losses in weight on the scale. Like generally, I ask my clients to weigh themselves in the morning after they've been to the toilet. That usually provides a more consistent weigh-in. That's something to be aware of. You can see this for yourself. If you eat further away from bedtime, let's say you stop eating at 6 p.m. one day, you will get a much lighter weigh-in in the morning if you normally eat at 9 or 10 p.m. So the food in the gut makes a difference to your weigh-in. So be aware of late meal times or early meal times and how that will affect your daily weigh-in. I've written there, enema is the secret to powerlifting success. It's not unheard of for powerlifters to give themselves an enema before they have to weigh in the morning, because it's a very easy way of dropping a few pounds without having to affect your performance. So there you go. Interesting factoid. Now, another thing is glycogen, and that's, again, we're going into the harder things to lose here. Now, glycogen is held within the muscles, and it's formed via the carbs that we eat. Trained muscles tend to hold more glycogen. So I've had it when people have been in a diet phase and all of a sudden they've massively increased their volume during the course of the midway through the diet, and they get a spike in body weight. That's because the body is holding on to more of the glycogen that they eat on that day because of the response to the increased training volume. So acute increase in training volume, increase the glycogen you hold. That's the basis of people getting the Friday night pumps, before they go to the club. They'll go to the gym and do set after set of arm curls and tricep extensions and laterals, and they temporarily hold more water and more glycogen due to the swelling. So yeah, glycogen is another thing, and that can be burnt off just as quickly as well if you do a very intense workout one day. And next is inflammation. Now, stress causes inflammation, whether that's physical or mental stress, and that can lead to whole body water retention. Now, dieting for longer and longer periods of time is a form of stress. So as you get further on into the diet, you do tend to hold more water. This is one of the reasons why when people do a contest and they're contest prepping for the diet, it's a good idea to make sure the diet is over about a week minimum before they're due to step on stage. So the final week, you can actually feed them into the show, reduce that water and make them sleep a little bit better, reduce the stress, and have them walk on stage with less water retention. Just a bit of a side tangent there, but inflammation can definitely do it. And yeah, the other thing to bear in mind is females. I said at the beginning that a weekly average is a good thing to use to see if people are losing weight. For females, that may actually extend to 4 weeks, particularly for smaller females who have less weight to lose and it's harder to track their weight loss. It may well be prudent to view things on a monthly basis because their menstruation may well skew the water retention so much that you can only really see month to month whether they're losing fat or not, particularly, as I say, if they're smaller females. Margin for error is less. So yeah, some of my closing thoughts. You can and you will see weight fluctuations day to day. All of the factors that I've discussed influence your weight far faster than muscle or fat. Like, it's not fat if you gain 2 pounds overnight, and it's definitely not muscle. You're not replacing your fat with your muscle. Muscle and fat come on very, very slowly. They come off very, very slowly. Bear that in mind when you're calculating your plan of action. So if you gain 1 pound overnight, just think about it like this. Did you really eat a surplus of 3,500 calories? Because that's what you're saying. If you think you gained a pound of fat overnight, is that, okay, I ate 3,500 calories extra on top of my maintenance yesterday? Probably not the case. Now, conversely, if you lost a pound overnight, don't celebrate too hard just yet, okay? Because you're just seeing temporary weight loss, probably from water, at least most of it from water. The key is to use a weekly average, and potentially for very small females, they may want to use a monthly average just to even out the bumps. So yeah, I mean, it's a relatively boring topic. It's not one that I think I like to discuss a lot, but for some people, it's actually quite revolutionary. They don't see things that way. They literally think if they gain 3 pounds, overnight, then they've gained 3 pounds of fat. Or if they lose 1 pound overnight, then they've lost 1 pound of fat. They literally think the body works that quickly, and they'll look in the mirror in the morning and go, oh yeah, God, I feel fatter. I must have gained so much fat. They'll sort of convince themselves that their bias is correct, but no one gains muscle and fat that quickly. So yeah, I just thought it's worth a discussion. It's worth putting it out there because it's a commonly held belief, unless you're an experienced dieter or you kind of know the real deal. So anyway, hopefully at least some of you found that useful, and I'll call it there. Take care.